Here is a quick video to show you how to troubleshoot display issues with your DVR. Let's say your DVR was working fine and all of a sudden you don't see any video and you see something like this on the screen. Pardon my dusty screen, but this is our testing station and we're just doing a quick video to show you how to troubleshoot this sort of issue. So if you think you did not change any setting and all of a sudden you see that no signal or perhaps no video on there, here's the first few things you need to do. One, make sure you're using the DVR with the power supply you've got. In this case, this particular DVR, it's using a 12 volt 3 amp. You want to send us a picture of the power supply you're using. So that's number one. Make sure, number two, that power supply is connected directly to the back of the DVR. So this power supply has a wall side and a DVR side. The DVR side, this silver thing, is called a DC plug. It connects to the back of the DVR like so in this case. So that's number two. You want to make sure your power supply is connected directly to your surge suppressor and then to the DVR. No splitters, nothing like that. You don't want this. Okay? I'm using that because I have a special setup. You don't want to be doing this. You don't want to use a splitter of any kind. Because even when I'm using a splitter, I'm using a 1 to 4. 3 of them are unused. So all the power supply from that one power, all the power from that one power supply I have is going into the DVR. If you've got other things connected to it, they're going to take juice away, amperage away from the DVR from booting up and cause it to malfunction. So again, number one, picture of the label on the power supply. 2, the power supply should be connected directly to the DVR. 3. Number 3 is make sure the DVR is turned on. There's a little switch on most of these smaller DVRs that have 1 or 2 hard drives. Make sure it's in the on position. Number 3. Number 4, you have a power light. These power lights are indicative of what's, actually these other LED lights are indicative of what's not working. So this is, in my case, a power light, the right one. This says HDD. There's no hard drive in mine, so that's why it's lit up. And this is for the network. If your network is disconnected or you turned on a setting inside the DVR, that will also make it disconnect. It doesn't have to do anything with the DVR. So we see it too often. Customers have a working DVR and all of a sudden it's no longer working. There is no video and they can't also access it with their phone. Problem is you configured some settings. Let me show you how to fix this. You've got to have some technical skill to fix this. You have to have a Windows computer and you want to be logged into the DVR's web interface. And in this case, I will go to System, and then I will go to System here, Display, and guess what? This is set to 4K. 3840 by 2160 is 4K resolution. The monitor I have is from 2010. Right now, it's to 2021. I can't set my DVR to 4K on a 1080p monitor, so I have to lower down the resolution that fits my monitor best. So how do you know which one's best for you? You have to go and search the make and model of your monitor on Google and find out what's the supported resolution on there. It may be 1080p, so the last 4 digits here, or it may be 720p, 1280 by 720. In my case, I'll set to 720p and hit save. Once I do that, it's going to say it wants to restart now. I'll say, okay. So successfully saved. You have to see that happen. So the interfaces on our DVRs vary depending on the year you purchased them or the generation of the DVR. But in this case, I've shown you for what we call our Generation 1 interface. It's more blue in color, the main menu. I'm just going to wait for the DVR to boot up. As it's booting up, I'll kind of mention a few things. When it's booting up, it's actually, there's a CPU inside like a computer. And when it finishes booting up, some of the DVRs do have what's called a post beep. They will give you an audible beep that comes from inside the DVR that says it's loaded its software completely. It takes a few minutes for DVRs to reboot. And I have not forwarded this video. I'm just kind of letting it go at 1x, showing you exactly as things happen. That's why it's a rather long video, to show people how to address this problem on their own. As it's booting up, notice in this one, a blue screen starts coming up. It says system is initializing. There's no splash logo on this DVR. So if you set the wrong DVR resolution, the display output resolution, you won't, oh, here's the go. Here you go, there's the post beep. So even if you set a wrong resolution, you should be hearing a post beep, number one, on this particular generation. Some newer DVRs don't do that anymore. Now, since I changed my resolution, I can now see my DVR. It's not a DVR issue, it's your settings issue. And we see it too often, customers trying to go and get the best and end up putting the wrong resolution in and lock themselves out. So one kind of lockout is through the display option. The other the lockout a customer can do, or do a double whammy with it, is also have a network filter lockout, and I'm going to show you what that means. So here, going into the display menu, I click on main menu, it asks me to log in, and notice this whole menu is blue. This is our generation 1, so if you have this. The other lockout you can do is, let me first show you in the back of the DVR what I mean, or what I'm going to start talking about. So here you see that green light, that's the network port. And it has a green light and also sometimes an amber light if there is data to it. And it's blinking. That means it's getting data transmission at that time. The green light on this one is on all the time. So now what I'm going to do is show you how you can make this go blank. Here, I've got my DVR menu again, and for unsuspecting customers who are unfamiliar with the technology, they'll go into network, let's see, in here on the bottom, and they were either put in a wrong IP address and they'll lock themselves out. And when you do that, your DVR won't have a light anymore on the back of the network port. The other way is you go under security and you enable this thing called access rights and you hit apply. When you do this, you lock yourself out from going into the web interface of the DVR to do anything. So now when I try to log in, I can't do what I just showed you before about logging into the DVR. I'm trying to log in, it just will prevent me from logging in. It says this account's been blacklisted. So on this DVR, it gives me an error message. In some other DVRs, it won't give you a display screen at all. It'll just time out. So in this one, it just says that to me. It's been blacklisted. And then when I turn that IP filter off, and I go back, and try to log in, I'm able to log in. So this DVR happens to have one way of displaying stuff. Some of the error messages and stuff. Your DVR may be slightly different even if it has a blue interface, but this should provide you some guidance of at least how to overcome the blue interface issue not coming up because you set the wrong resolution. If you're unable to follow this video because it's too technical for you and you do not know how to get your DVR on your network so you can access it using Internet Explorer, or if you're a Mac user, then you can always purchase our paid networking support session for us to come into your computer and fix the wrong settings you've applied. Of course, we're always here to help. Thank you for watching.